Video content is the highest leverage content that you can use as an aftermarket supplier inside your marketing and sales campaigns. However, it can be a bit difficult to know where to start or how to actually generate revenue and results from a video. So in this video, I am going to give you the exact anatomy on exactly how to create a video that both converts, generates revenue, and is fun to watch so that you can implement it in your aftermarket business. Before we get into the anatomy of a video, I first want to talk about the two types of videos that you're going to have to choose that you want to create. First one is entertainment and the second one is education. Now, the way that I like to personally look at this is who do I care about in the two types of videos? And this is how I kind of like to distinguish whether something's an education or entertainment video. For entertainment, there's pretty much going to be a hero that I care about. So I'm going to be watching that hero. And that could be a contestant, that could be a person that's just going about their day, or it could be somebody that's overcoming a challenge. Typically, an entertainment video will follow a story arc. So that's going to be, there's something that they're setting out to do, they're going to overcome and do it, and then everybody's happy at the end. When it comes to education, the person that I care about the most is myself. So I am educating myself in order to advance myself forward. So the person that is educating me is providing me with value that then I can go on and apply. Now, if that application works, I then know, like, and trust the person that did the education. So this is really, really important for aftermarket suppliers to understand, because if we're going to go with the two content types, the important one to choose for me would be the education content. And this is because we do want to build trust with our audience. We do want to give them something of value in exchange for them trusting us with their time and pain points. The next thing we need to understand before we actually create our video is our customer persona. And I will say this in every single video, because if you do not understand your customer persona's pain points, goals, and hesitations to working with you, you are wasting your time and resource and money when creating a video. So what happens when we create content without our customer persona is we shift the attention from them and onto us. And what we want is a sale. So that means the content is going to be more pushy, more features, more benefits, instead of the actual value that we want to bring to our customer to overcome their objectives so that they can then know, like, and trust our brand. So honestly, I implore you, do not move past this video. Do not create another video unless you have looked at your customer personas first. Right, now we can dive into actually creating this video. And I know that you're going to want to grab a camera and run and start shooting. However, the first thing that we need to actually do is the packaging, because if nobody clicks on your video, then there's no point in even making it. So what exactly is the packaging for your video? Well, if we look at YouTube, it's going to be your thumbnail and your title. Now, the thumbnail actually needs to just reaffirm what you have put in your title. And the title shouldn't be something generic or just your product title. Instead, it should be the benefit that they're going to get from watching your video. Now that we have our packaging, the next thing that we need to do is our hook. Now, your hook is the most important first 30 seconds to 1 minute of your video. In that time, your customer is going to realize whether or not they actually want to stay for the video. If they don't, they'll leave. So we need to make sure that this is concise. The main thing that you want to do with your hook is that the packaging and the title actually is what they clicked on. So you need to confirm that click. Once you do that, you then follow our Spark framework. Now, the Spark framework first starts with S, which is your specific audience. Now, this means that you are calling out that audience. So if you're talking to mechanics, say you're talking to mechanics. If you're talking to workshop owners, say that you're speaking to them. This means that your target audience kind of leans in, which is, oh, they're actually speaking to my specific problem, which moves us on to P, which is that problem. As I mentioned, if someone is watching an education video, they're wanting to overcome a problem or learn how to fix that problem. So we want to call out what that problem is, which then moves us to A, which is the aspired outcome. So when they understand this problem, what is the next transformation or aspired outcome going to be from them learning this knowledge? We then move to R, which is your reason to believe. Why is it that they should trust you? This is basically your social proof. So tell them who you are, what you've done, and how that works. We then have K, which is keep watching. So you need to tell the audience why they should keep watching in the video. Now that we've used the Spark framework, you then want to move into what we call the meat. Now, the meat is pretty much the video. There's a few things that you need to do in order to keep people watching. Now, the important thing to know about the meat is that we want to open loop. loops. Now, the way that I kind of explain this is that we think in open and closed loops. So as humans, we come across a problem and that opens a loop, and we're not satisfied until we close that loop with a solution. Now, what you don't want to do is give away everything straight away. So for example, if I was a mechanic and I was talking to another mechanic about, say, oil, I would then say, so I just couldn't get the margins that I wanted with my oil, so I bought them in bulk. Now, you've just given that whole answer. Instead, what you could say is, now I was having a lot of trouble upselling oil, and I was also having issues making any kind of margin with that oil. So what I did was XYZ, and then you move them through how you came to the conclusion of bulk buying. Instead of giving everything up front, we need to kind of drag that out. And the way that we do this is through another framework called break. The B is but. So whenever we have a section, we want the next part to be but or therefore rather than and this. Now, this is from the South Park framework, where essentially if your next section is and this rather than but or therefore, you're going to have a very monotonous video. Instead, we kind of want but then this happened, or therefore this is what happened, rather than and this. This keeps the pace of the video and then also moves us into these next loops. We then have R, which is for release. So as I mentioned before, we want to slowly release the information and then move to E, which is the evidence. So why is it that I should listen to you? Now, the E is optional for sections, but you should be explaining to the viewer why they should listen to you over someone else. The way that I like to think about this is, rather than using how to, use how I, and give an example of how you or your company actually achieved what you're speaking about. From there, they'll kind of get the aha moment, which is the A. Now, the A is going to be very quick. We need to make sure that we're not hanging there for too long, and then move to K, which is kick, and we kick them straight to the next section. The reason for this is if you spend too long on a section, they're most likely to click away. So we want to make sure that this is very fast. But we don't want people just watching our videos. Instead, we want them to actually give us revenue. And the way that we do that is through call to actions. Now, there are two types of call to actions. The first one is what we call a mid call to action. And this is where relevant, you will talk about your product or service in order to get them to think about purchasing from you. The second type of CTA is the one you get at the end of the video. And typically this will move them to the next video. So what we want to do is give them as much time with our brand as possible. And the end screen on YouTube is the perfect place to get this, because we can link those videos there. Now, before I get into exactly how these CTA should work and how you move someone from your video to actually a paying customer, I first just want to let you know that all of what we have outlined comes within our Done For You service at Madre. Now, Madre works with automotive aftermarket suppliers in order to create genuine social media content that moves the needle and generates revenue. So far, we have generated millions in revenue and eyeballs for our clients. If you would like to work with us, click the link in the description. Now, that there is a great example of how a CTA actually works. So what you then need to do is create your description to also convert, because as much as your CTA may have been compelling, you now need to make it very easy for them to click and go and engage with your brand. So we actually have a framework for the description as well. Now, the framework that we use is called links. The first thing that you want to do is the L, which is your lead link. So as I just had the CTA there, where I asked if you wanted to work with us, you then put the link in the description as the first line. So this is the first thing that they view. The I is then for in this video, where you do a description of what is in this video. You then have the N, which is your navigation. So this is the timestamps of your video, so that they can just click and navigate very easily. You then have your K, which is your known resources. So if there's any other links that you want to put in the description that is of value to your customer, put them here. We then have S, which is your signature. Now, this is basically where you're going to inform the audience on exactly what you do, because not everybody that watches your video is going to know about your brand. So just put a bit of information about what you do at the bottom of your video. For example, you might think that we only film videos when in fact we are a social media and organic content agency. Now, the link that you put in the description is really important, because that is what's going to create the revenue rather than the videos themselves. For example, you don't want to get monetized on YouTube, you want more customers. And the only way to get more customers is to create a funnel that matches the video content that you're going to put out. If you want to run this exact funnel, the one that is generating millions in the aftermarket for our clients, we have actually given a completely free video to you in order for you to implement this for yourself. Just click the video on the screen to watch, and I'll see you there.